Right. So tell me about your first real job.
First real job?
First real job.
Whilst at school, I stacked shelves in Tesco's.
Many hours a week? Many hours a week?
It was about 12 hours a week.
12 hours a week?
Yeah.
And at what point did you live independently? You know, did you move out from home, or what happened?
Yeah, well, my mum remarried because my parents split up so I was just 18, I'd just turned 18 and my mum moved away to England, so I was sort of living alone by that point.
And did you live in a flat with people? Did you live in a house?
I lived alone in a one-bedroom flat.
And how did you go about getting yourself a one-bedroom flat?
My mum bought it prior to moving away. So we lived there for maybe about a year before she remarried, so that was our home.
So you didn't have to source a flat
no,
for yourself.
No,
there.
But I had to pay rent.
But you had to pay rent, and you must have had some pitfalls. First time out on your own.
Nightmare. You don't realise how much you appreciate your mum until she's gone. I didn't know how to iron a shirt. I had to get my gran to come round and iron a shirt for me. I put a load of washing in. I probably didn't do it right, but it was 3 weeks later before I went back and checked it. By which time it was absolutely stinking. It was covered. It was like a white shirt with about 1 million damp spots on it. Everything was smelly. I had to chuck it all in the bin. I didn't have a clue. After a few weeks, when you live with your mum, the dirty washing you put at the end of the bed miraculously appears in the cupboard ironed.
Yeah.
But when you don't live there, the floor just gets fuller and fuller and fuller, so you can't even see the bedroom floor. Bit of a disaster. You eat rubbish food.
Tell us about your diet in your first year out. What was it like?
Was just crap. Crisps for tea, crisps for breakfast, pot noodles for lunch, Chinese takeaway and payday, and that was it. And then the rest of the month on crap. And when I worked in Tesco's, I worked one Sunday and they were chucking out sausages that were going to get out of date the next day, and I bought about 40 packets of sausages and about 20 loaves, and I put them all in the freezer and friends' freezers and all that, and I lived off pieces and sausages every day for ages.
For how long?
Oh, a good couple of weeks. Can I tell you another thing I did?
Yeah.
I got a job after that in Kilmarnock, and because you're young and stupid and living on your own, I used to run out of money all the time.
Yeah.
So with 1 or 2 weeks to go till payday, I would have to borrow off friends for money for the bus.
Yeah.
And I worked in Kilmarnock, which was 18 miles away from Saltcoats where I lived, and I couldn't get any money, so I had to cycle to work and back every day for 2 weeks until I got paid.
How far? So that's like 36. What's 18? 36 miles.
Yeah, 18 miles there, 18 miles back, and a 9-hour shift. Oh. I was hopeless, and I'm sure that's what happens with a lot of people. You're not organised. You do not realise how important it is to have structure and someone organising you. If you can't do it yourself, it just...
Right, so now I'm going to ask you, we're 3 minutes in this, I'm going to ask if you had your time, you know, if you could go back and talk to yourself then, what are you telling yourself about living out? Because obviously you're going to say, listen, this is going to be a bit harder than you thought. What sort of things are you telling yourself?
Yeah, you think, it's the old classic thing that when you're younger, you think you know everything, but you know nothing. You know nothing. The way things work and the way you need to organise yourself, you know. So if I had my time back again, things like that flat, you know, you'd run it better, you would budget better, you would organise yourself.
What way would you think? What way would you advise someone young, your age again, 18, moving out? How would you tell them to think about a budget? What sort of things would they need to think about?
It's difficult because I mean, being 18, you want to have some fun, you know. I mean, it's having fun's a big deal when you're 18, but you know. Make sure you can iron the shirt, make sure you can wash, make sure you've got food in the house, you know.
Could you
make
cook?
Sure you've got bills.
Could you cook things, or could you just microwave stuff?
Microwave. I could not cook at all.
Can you cook now?
Yes.
At what stage in your life did you learn to cook?
Well, me cooking now is still very basic, but it's, you know, boil potatoes, put a roast in the oven, you know. Yeah. Things like that. I can't say a particular time, but as you get older, you realise things, you know. What you think's cool when you're younger is not so cool when you're older, and vice versa. Yeah. It's just the way it works.
Okay, this is great. Now, the last thing I'm going to ask you is, are you aware that in Scotland, this country, that there's a minimum wage?
Yes.
Would you know how much it is?
Is it £6.3?
Thank you.
Is that what it is?